We are in the season of fasting and preparing for the new year that arrives with spring. There's Lent in the Christian calendar, Ramadan for Muslims, Baha'i fasting during the month of Allah, Nowruz for Persia, Persians, people of Persian descent, and other spiritual traditions have this season of preparing and of holding back. So for many people, fasting means giving something up. People give up cigarettes or video games, sweets, snack foods. I gave up vegetables. And they wait for the spring morning when they can exit from their caves of deprivation. I think it's ironic to think about loss and scarcity on the cusp of spring. Springtime evokes language of sap rising, rivers rising from the melting snow, buds emerging, animals arising from their winter hibernation, birds rising into the warmer spring air. Which leads me to ask you, what is rising in you? What new idea or old idea revisited? What long ago passion? What deeply hidden joy? What delayed gratification? What explorations of the heart or adventures of the spirit? What if, instead of giving something up for the fast, you take something on? What if you cleaned out a closet or a drawer? What if you discarded that box of stuff? You know that box, you know which one. What if you actually started that painting or the puzzle or the quilt you've been promising to do? Rather than having this be a season of deprivation for you, why not let the sap of creativity and renewal rise in you? Bolstered by the depths of your life experiences, your commitment to life and the people around you, why not let this season be the invitation to let Spirit do something new in you? Think of the best times of your life. Could have been a moment, could have been a season, an event, an activity, but what made it so wonderful? How can you replicate that bestness? What lies deep within you? What, if you let it, might rise up and dance? Come, let us worship together.
Good morning. Assalamu alaikum. Oh, it's a especially blessed day, not only because of the arrival of Ramazan and the arrival of the spring equinox and Women's History Month, but it's also a blessed morning for me when I get to be on the chancel with my beloved colleague, the Reverend Kikanza. So good to be with all of you and with our dear Reverend this morning. Welcome to this service, our annual service for the past couple of years, celebrating the Islamic holy month of Ramazan. Our service is Whirling with the Dervishes, so prepare yourselves because there may be some dance later in our service. So Ramazan is the pronunciation of Ramadan that is used in my Chishti Sufi lineage, which traces its roots to India and Turkey and other nations where Arabic is not the dominant language. In case you're wondering, why is he saying Ramazan instead of Ramadan? That is the reason, because there's different words that are used in different parts of the world. I'm the Reverend Jeremiah Lalshabazz Kalendae, and I serve this congregation as its developmental minister. Our whole worship team and our choir are all delighted to be joining you for worship this morning. If this is your first time joining us or you're still new to our congregation, We bid you a special welcome, and we hope you'll take the time to learn more about our church through our weekly newsletter, our website, our online news magazine, and possibly meeting with some of our lovely membership folks at our visitors table in the courtyard following the service. We light our flaming chalice with these words from the Sultan of Love, the great Sufi saint Mevlânâ Jalāl Rūmī. One knocked at the door of the beloved, and a voice answered, "Who is there?" The lover replied, "It is me." "Then depart," returned the voice. "There is no room within for you and me." And then the lover returned and knocked again. And the voice demanded, "Who is there?" The lover answered, "It is you." "Welcome," said the beloved, "for I am within."
Persian musician Mahmoud Prière means pray in French, though the poem is in Farsi. The text expresses the pain of separation from the divine, in this case using the Sufi trope of referring to one's own heart as God. The word for heart in Farsi is dil, which you'll hear many times throughout.
sometimes there just are no words. Thank you so much. Welcome again to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Santa Monica. I am Kikanza Nuri-Robins. I am your worship associate today. So as we gather in this sanctuary and in our virtual spaces online, we recognize that our homes and the homes of most of our members and friends are located near the sacred waters and upon the unceded lands of indigenous people. This is the traditional home of many people, including the Tongva and Gabrieleño and Ventureño. We remember their presence among us. We remember the painful struggles for this land and the ongoing struggle for equity and justice and sovereignty for all people. This is sacred land. This is sacred space, and we welcome you into it. We're very delighted to have you with us, and whether you've been here all your life and are among the several people whose parents attended this church, or whether you are in the sanctuary or online, whether this is your first time or you're a regular, if you call yourself a visitor or a guest or like, I've always been here, we welcome you. Unitarian Universalism is a liberal religious movement that's open to people of all faiths and all spiritual traditions. We are diverse in many ways. We're diverse in ethnicity and gender and sexual orientations and abilities, and we are united in our commitment to social justice and to working through our differences to build community. So here at UUSM, we have many programs and ministries that will feed your spirit and where you can use your gifts to serve the community and to serve the world. We have programs for adults and children of all ages. Our meetings are both online and in person as we navigate the shifting realities of the pandemic and COVID and all those other things that are out there threatening us. So we invite you to explore our website, talk to members in the courtyards, and take a peek at the order of service to see what's going on today. Now, the building that's right across the courtyard is called the Cottage, and in the Cottage there's nursery care for the youngest of the children, and there are activities for pre-K all the way up going on in the Cottage during service. So if your young person starts to squiggle or wiggle and doesn't want to spend their whole time here with us, they are welcome, and there's welcoming space for them right across the courtyard. Our oldest children are not on campus today. There's no OWL or coming of age. So OWL is Our Whole Lives, or coming of age, they went bowling. So, good on them. So one of the things that we do every week is prepare lunches, bag lunches that can be distributed to our homeless neighbors, our neighbors without homes. And so we invite you to join us, whether this is your first time or not. You'll see out in the shaded area a group of people who are stuffing brown bags with food, and you're welcome to join them. We need some extra hands this morning. We are also delighted that we have in Forbes Hall, which is the space right behind me, we always have an art exhibit that is so wonderfully curated by Beverly Allison and her team. And today we have the opening for a new artist, Iris Klein. And so there's a reception for her, and you'll be able to see and purchase her art. And I understand that there's someplace out in the audience. There she is. Welcome, welcome. Also, this afternoon, right after worship, or after coffee and socializing and the art exhibit, which is all after worship, we are having an embodied practice circle, and you are welcome to touch your spirit and the spirit of others in a way different from what happens here in the sanctuary. We also have two other things that we invite you to be involved in. One is called a common read, where UUs around the world or across the nation are all reading the same book, and we invite you to participate in that. Amy, would you stand or wave? Amy's got free books, or had free books. I don't know, or she can tell you where to get the book. Okay. And who to talk to after you've read it. And we are so lucky this morning because the whole choir is here. We have extraordinary musicians. Keon, oh, that was fabulous. But with Keon, and with Keon this morning is the whole choir. We're so happy to see you. And if you would like to sing with them, there's a small opening and they're inviting you to pass through. So however you find your way to connect to community and fill your spirit, we welcome you. We hope that you find comfort, that you find inspiration, and that you find community here. And I hope that this will be one of the most significant hours of your week.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome. Please rise in body or in spirit. For our opening hymn, we will continue our exploration of our newly purchased purple hymnal. If you are following along, this is number 37. This hymn is, of course, very familiar to us, very close to our community, so much so that it is in our church banner in English. Today we get to sing it in Spanish. Just a few things to help aid us in the singing of the Spanish. We have elisions in that language, so just repeat after me. Ven, ven. Cual eres ven. This one we will elide. Nomadain. Búsqueda. Then we elide this again. Si amas, la vida. La nuestra es la caravana. Then we elide this again. De amor. Ven, otra vez ven. Are we ready? So another instruction is we will be singing it as a round. So pick a number. Pick a number from 1 through 4. We'll sing it together twice. First. Once in English and once in Spanish. And then we'll sing the round together twice. Pick a number 1 through 4. Once in English and once in Spanish. If you picked 1 in your head, you'll follow the sopranos. If you pick 2, you'll follow the tenors. If you pick 3, you'll follow the altos. And if you pick 4, you'll follow the basses. And once you finish with your round, we're just going to hold the last note. Okay?
Don't sit down. Don't sit down. We're going to repeat our covenant together, and then we'll keep standing in body or spirit for something else, for our hymn of praise. And we'll do the covenant in English and in Spanish, because this is a multilingual congregation and city. Slides up there?
We got it.
Okay, you got it? All righty. Well, not only that, it should be engraved upon your heart. Who has not memorized this? That's a test of membership. All right, here we go. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humankind in fellowship, thus do we covenant with each other. El amor es la enseñanza de esta iglesia. Buscar la verdad es su sacramento. El servicio es la oración. Vivir junto en paz. Buscar el conocimiento en la libertad. Servir a la humanidad en comunión. Así es como convenimos unos a otras. So up here, there's a basket, and often there's food in it, and soon there will be more food in it. We partner with the West Side Food Bank. Yes, come on down. Bring or send your contributions. We've been partners collecting in food for the West Side Food Bank for many years. And so if you have never or have forgotten, you can bring things that are not perishable and bring things that are consumed in large quantities. Hi there. Come on up and put it in the basket. Pasta and pasta sauce, not in the glass jars, please. Granola bars, protein bars, breakfast cereal. All of these things are helpful and wanted and appreciated. Our service to the world is embodied here each Sunday with this simple act. All people, young and old, are encouraged to give. Look at that. The basket is almost full. So after the time for all ages, after the story, that's for everyone, we sing a blessing to the children. And so we're asking that the children stay so we can sing to them. Well, if they are so moved, they're invited to stay. The little one just walked on out the door. So we invite the children to stay while we sing so that you can hear us as we bless you on your way to the cottage and your activities. Our story this morning is a video. Yay, we get to watch films. And it's called Rihanna's First Time Fasting. So children are not required to fast, but often they want to try because the big kids are fasting and the adults are fasting, and their food is so good early in the morning and late at night. So the fast starts when it's still dark out before the sun rises with a big breakfast and prayer. And so we are joining Rihanna after breakfast as she starts her day at school. So this is a story by Kamer Hassan, Rihanna's First Time Fasting.
Rihanna went to school with a big smile on her face. She was ready for her first day of fasting. It all went well until snack time. Miss Collins didn't usually give out cookies for snack time, but today she did. "No, thank you, Miss Collins," replied Rayhana. "I'm fasting today." Rayhana watched all the other kids eating their chunky chocolate chip cookies. "Rayhana, what's fasting?" asked Jennifer, one of her classmates. "Is it like running really fast?" another classmate asked. "It's when you don't eat all day," replied Rayhana. "All day?" shouted both of her classmates in shock. "That doesn't seem like fun," said Jennifer. "Well, just wait until the sun goes down. Then we can eat whatever we want," replied Rayhana. "Why?" Jennifer asked. Rayhana wasn't sure how to answer that question, so she just shrugged. All she knew was that during Ramadan, all Muslims fast, and that was what she wanted to do. When Rayhana got home from school, her stomach started to growl. She missed having her peanut butter and jelly sandwich waiting for her. "How's your first day of fasting going so far?" her mom asked. "It's okay," mumbled Rayhana. "I'm just really hungry. How long until we eat?" "A few more hours. Hang in there," said her mom. "Ugh." Rayhana placed her hand on her growling stomach. "This is too hard. What's the point of fasting anyway?" Rayhana's mom looked at her worried. "I'm going out. Do you want to come along? It'll make the time pass." "Fine," sighed Rayhana as she dragged her feet out the door. During the car ride, Rayhana kept asking, "How many hours till we eat now? And now? How about now? Is it time yet?" "Only 5 minutes have passed, Rayhana," said her mom. "Be patient." Soon enough, they stopped in front of a building. There was a really long line of men, women, and even children waiting outside. "Where are we?" asked Rayhana. "Come inside and I'll show you." They walked into a dull gray room with tables and chairs where people were eating. There were people dressed in aprons and hairnets serving food. "This looks like the cafeteria at my school, but we can't eat. Are you teasing me, Mama?" asked Rayhana. "Rayhana, these people are homeless. They have no food and no place to sleep. So this soup kitchen is a place to give them food and somewhere to stay for a little while." Rayhana was surprised to hear this. "Aren't they always hungry?" "Yes, this is why we are here. It's our job as Muslims to help those in need. One of the most important parts of fasting is to understand how other people who don't have food feel, so that we can be thankful for our own blessings." "What blessings do we have?" "We have many blessings. Allah has showered us with the blessings of a home, a beautiful family, and alhamdulillah, we always have something to eat. A lot of people in this world don't have that." And that's when Rayhana realized there was more to fasting than just the hunger. She felt guilty for complaining. Rayhana gladly wore an apron, put on a hairnet, and helped her mom serve the food. She made sure to smile at each and every person. When they were finished, Rayhana looked up at her mom and asked, "Mama, can we do this every day?" "Of course, Habibti," she replied as she held Rayhana in her arms. When they finally arrived home, Rayhana was eager to help her dad set the table. On the dining room table, there were several dishes of rice and kofta, roasted chicken with vegetables, sambusa, bowls of soup, and lots of dates, Rayhana's favorite. Rayhana sat patiently at the table, surrounded by the people she loved most. To her right were her Khalu Malik, Khala Qamar, and Khalu Ismail. Across from her were her Jidda and Khala Reem, and beside her sat Khala Layla and her cousin Maryam. As everybody grabbed a date and broke their fast, Rayhana suddenly felt sorry for all the people she met today who didn't have any food or family to be with. So Rayhana closed her eyes, raised up both her hands in front of her face, and started to make dua. "Oh Allah, please help all the poor people and give them food to eat. I also want to thank you for blessing me with my family and home. So you can forget the ice skating. This was how Rehana spent the next 29 days of Ramadan, and she loved every second of it. Rehana wishes you and your family a blessed Ramadan, just like hers. The end. Now this book has a special...
So you might want to try to fast for a day, just to see what fills up your heart when your stomach is empty. So children, come on down.
I want to invite you to feel free to share any joys or concerns, sorrows, milestones in your life with our pastoral care team and with the congregation. I don't have any to share with you today, but if you email pastoralcare@uusm.org, we will be sure to include whatever is going on in your life, in the life and spirit of our community. I know many of us, we've been debating, like, people don't submit as many joys and concerns as they used to, and we think that's because of social media. But we're not all on social media. I, for one, try to avoid it as much as possible. So if things are going on in your life, we'd love to hear from you, and I know the community, and not all of us are plugged in. We'd love to hear what's going on in your life and be with you in those times of joy and those times of sorrow. Let us enter into this time that we dedicate each week to refreshing our beings with moments of mindfulness, prayer, and holding silence together. You're invited to ease into these moments of calm with conscious breathing that brings stillness to whatever may be unsettled within. You may want to close your eyes gently as you open your hearts and remember that love that radiates within you like a flame. Breathe into that openness, that radiance of your inner being. Allow each breath and each expansion of your lungs to also be an expansion of your heart and an expansion of the radiance of that love. Imagine your spirit and your love to be an iridescence, like mother of pearl, that is expanding and contracting within you and all around you in beautiful dances of color, light, and radiant darkness. Breathe deep into your being and dwell in the spaciousness of this inner dance. Our mindfulness prayer this morning is one that I share each year for Ramazan. It is the famous Dua of the Nur, or the prayer of the light in the Islamic tradition. I will invite you to silently repeat each verse after me, or just to receive these words of light that have been passed down to us through the centuries. I will conclude the prayer with the ringing of our singing bowl as we continue to dwell in the light and in the silence together. And I will also invite you, in Islamic tradition, when we pray, we hold our hands up like this. So if you're so willing and want to try it, I invite you to try it this morning to fully embody the method of this prayer. Bismillah. Rahman Rahim, in the name of the infinitely compassionate and the tenderly merciful, O Allah, place light in my heart, and on my tongue light, and in my ears light, and in my sight light, and above me light, and below me light, and to my right light, and to my left light, and before me light, and behind me light. Place in my soul light. Magnify for me light. Amplify for me light. Make for me light, and make me light. O Allah, grant me light and place light in my nerves, and in my body light, and in my blood light, and in my hair light, and in my skin light. O Allah, make for me a light in my grave, and a light in my bones. Increase me in light, increase me in light, increase me in light. Grant me light upon light. Amen. Ramazan arrives each year as a gift. All year long, I am counting down until the arrival of the next Queen of Months. The sacred period extends from the sighting of the crescent moon to the next. Muslims all around the globe will fast from food, water, and sensuous engagements from the rising of the sun to its setting each day. One becomes attentive to the phases of the moon, the sunrise and the sunset. One becomes attuned to these rhythms of nature, and this helps to lift one's awareness from ordinary routines and habitual patterns. The fasting from food makes one keenly aware of the passing hours, as we just witnessed, and reminds one of the difficulty of abstaining from our attachments. Fasting from water is especially difficult, and it reminds one of its refreshing purity and of its preciousness to all life. The hunger and the thirst remind us of these base needs that we share with all of humanity. They invoke empathy for others who hunger and thirst. In this holy month, we encounter the elemental forces of life in their most essential forms, and are reminded of our dependence and our interdependence with this great web of all existence that includes sun and moon, nutrients and water, family and community. Ramadan is experienced not simply as a fast or a time when maybe we don't skip so many of the daily prayers, but rather it is a stepping into a deeper experience of fundamental realities beyond the routines and comforts and worldly entanglements that ordinarily keep us from truly experiencing the unmediated reality of our existences. Ramadan is then welcomed as a gift. What on the outside appears to be a month of deprivation and restraint is in reality a month of cultivating spaciousness, clarity, connection, compassion, revelation, and hopefully the rebirth of our spirits. Is this not all a great gift? The Sultan of Love, Mevlânâ Rūmī, observed, "There is a hidden sweetness in the stomach's emptiness." We are lutes, no more. If an instrument is stuffed full of anything, it produces no music. But if one's being is burning clear with fasting, every moment a new song arises from the fire. Ramadan cultivates a bright burning fire through intense spiritual exercises and its radiant light that penetrates our bodies and minds and hearts so that we're no longer as encumbered by our constructs of ourselves and others, our routines and patterns, our attachments, our aversions. The world even takes on a beautiful radiance in this heightened state of consciousness that we seem to perceive only rarely through the rest of the year. A clarity comes to the mind that quickens it and makes wisdom more readily accessible. And a purity comes to the heart that makes it more capable of giving and receiving love. The gift of this holy month for Muslims is a holistic clearing out and opening wide of the horizons of our beings to the beauty of existence. This annual rejuvenation can be received as a kind of resurrection of our beings that foreshadows the awakening Islam teaches awaits us all when we die. Although I know most will not be fasting this month, although I do encourage you to maybe try it for a day or two, I hope my words share something of the experience so that you may appreciate it and savor something of that hidden sweetness. Islam can be defined as the way of humility that brings peace. It's believed that Islamic history began in the month of Ramazan when the Prophet of Light, peace be upon him, and all of his relations encountered the angel Jibreel, or Gabriel, as we may know them, may they abide in serenity, while meditating in a cave where he was told to recite verses that were being spoken directly to him by the divine presence. Over the next 23 years of his life, he would enter into visionary states where he would hear additional verses being spoken, and eventually all of these experiences were compiled in the Islamic holy book, which is literally known as the Recitation. It's believed that there's also a mother book that's the source of all the sacred texts of the world, and that the month of Ramazan is when each of these texts, from the Psalms to the Gospels and many other, were given to humanity as heavenly guidance. As a lunar month, it moves forward through the year about 11 days each solar cycle. So when I began observing it as a part of my annual spiritual discipline, I observed it in the summer, which is quite a time to learn to fast, and now I'm observing it in the more relaxed springtime. I enjoy that over the course of one's life, you get to experience this sacred period through all of the seasons. And contained within it, at one time or another, are all holidays. This year, Easter and Passover once again fall within the month, and I think it models for us the peaceful coexistence of these sister traditions. So from an Islamic perspective, the origin of all revealed religions can be traced to this month. It's a pretty significant month. In Sufi tradition, we welcome the Quran, this heavenly guidance or wisdom, into our hearts all month long. It's in this spaciousness and clarity and connection and openness that are cultivated through these intense spiritual disciplines that we may attune ourselves to the expansiveness of a universal divine love. My late Sheikh Ibrahim Baba would proclaim each year, "O lovers of love, come, let us swim in the waters of this beautiful ocean of love, which is the sacred month of Ramazan. Come, let us fast with joy and gladness. Come, let us empty ourselves so that we might experience the pain of others as our own, the joy of others as our own. Come, let us be filled with the dazzling, brilliant, and radiant, luminous darkness that shines more brilliantly than 10 million suns, the radiant nur, light of the Quran, the Kareem, which descends into the very cave of the heart, into the very center of our beings, which feeds and nurtures us better than any food can." Ooh, the Sufi divine name. Indeed, Muslims of all stripes read and study the entire revelation through the month as it's broken into daily portions that allows one to complete the entire book in 1 month. A Sufi reads the Quran as one reads a love letter, hearing the voice of one's beloved in each word, each sentence, each warning, and each summons to the spiritual path of humility and justice and peace. Awareness of the beloved is the supreme treasure of this sacred month. The disciplines, the gifts, the spaciousness, and clarity all serve not as ends in themselves, but simply as means to inculcate divine consciousness. When we peel away all of the ways we are ordinarily engaging with the world, we are left, in the Sufi terms, alone with the alone. It's there, in that unmediated experience of our existences, that we draw closer to their wellspring. In the Quran and in Sufi literature, this journey of the heart is described as the unveiling of our beloved, which is, of course, very feminine imagery, as it is common for women and third gender people to veil themselves in Islamic cultures. The great Sufi poet Hafiz wrote, "Cloak yourself in 1,000 ways, and still I shall know you, my beloved. Veil yourself with every enchantment, and yet I shall feel your presence, most dear, close, and intimate. I shall salute you in the springing of cypresses, and in the sheen of lakes and the laughter of fountains. I shall see you in tumbling clouds, in brightly embroidered meadows. O beloved presence, more beautiful than all the stars together. I find your face in ivy that climbs, in clusters of grapes, in morning sun on the mountains, in the clear arch of the sky. You gladden the whole earth and make every heart great. You are the breathing of the world." The veiled beloved, Allah Azza wa Jal, the presence more beautiful than all the stars together. That's the treasure of Ramazan. When Sufis purify their hearts and open their beings, they discover that lover and beloved are always united within oneself. It is with that divine love that we take each breath that is given to us. It is with that divine love that our heart continues to beat. It's in that beautiful ocean of oneness that the Sufi saints and mystics swim and remind all of the oneness of lover and beloved. It's in this divine love that embraces all that Sufis whirl into states of ecstatic abandon and deep communion. Now, you may have seen dervishes in the traditional Sema ceremony with tall hats and long flowing robes and garments that move about them in hypnotic and beautiful rhythms. Perhaps you remember something of the ecstasy from your younger years, when you would twirl beneath the open sky on a sunny day with your arms outstretched in total abandon. Like galaxies spinning around black holes and celestial bodies around stars, and our moon around the planet and the earth around its axis, and electrons around the nucleus of an atom. The Sufis whirl about their hearts in the midst of that beloved presence that's more beautiful than all the stars together. The heavens and the earth could not contain me, the divine word whispers in this tradition. And yet I am contained within the heart of my beloved. It is there in the heart that the Sufi worships before the wellspring of divine love. The whirling begins with stillness and hands placed over heart and chest as one feels the presence of love that is enthroned within the human heart. Slowly the whirling begins and one hand is raised to the heavens to salute and receive that universal love, and the other hand is tilted towards the earth to offer that love like the scattering of blossoms of flowers. One slowly enters into a state of meditative rapture that deepens and expands and then slows and returns to stillness. The dervish is then left standing upright in the shape of the number one, a reflection of having entered the state of oneness. You will be invited to whirl this morning if you so choose and are able, either seated in your place through your inward imagination, which is a perfectly valid way to whirl, or in an open space in an aisle or up front during our closing hymn, Alhamdulillah, which means perfect praise flows to and from the One. So the observance of Ramadan will begin on Wednesday evening. That's why I've been drinking water, if you've noticed. And for the next lunar month, I will dwell in the spaciousness and the radiance of love divine. I invite you to join me, at least in your mindfulness. Slow down and find rhythms to your ways of living that promote your well-being. As over 1 billion Muslims begin the annual fast, ask yourself what stresses, anxieties, and negativities you might fast from to help create and sustain that field of greater spaciousness, clarity, and peace in your life. Perhaps you will allow the sap of creativity and renewal to arise in you with the springtime, as Reverend Kikanza challenged, or invite love to do something new in you. Might we live together into a greater wholeness and unity as a community through taking the time and intentionality to attend to our relationships with the affections they deserve. Might we discover that we too are whirling with the Dervishes this holy month, helping to connect heaven with earth and to make that love real. Ramazan Mubarak, may the blessings of this month be with you all. Ameen and blessed be.
We are so fortunate to have Reverend Jeremiah explain to us just his whole beingness. And to have him explain things that we may have been hearing for most of our lives, but not truly understanding. And so thank you so much, Reverend Jeremiah, for helping us to experience Ramadan not as something, as a loss, but as a great gift. Fasting as a gift. Interesting. So you may remember in the story that the little girl, Rihanna, thought that fasting was great loss, and then she found that she had an opportunity to give during fasting. So earlier in the book, she had prayed for skates. She said, I'm going to pray with my family, so she asked Allah for some skates. And then later in the story, after she received the blessing from having given to people, she said, forget about the skates. I'll just keep giving. And so I invite you this morning to think about why you give and what you give. Some people give because they come from a tradition of tithing, and they give 10% or more to their church. Some people take that 10% and divvy it up. They give some to the church, and then some other portion, maybe 5 or 3%, to other organizations that they support or that are doing good in the world. Some people give because they know that that individual donations are the lifeblood of nonprofit organizations like this church. Some people give because that's how they leave footprints or nameplates. Some people give to support the things that they believe in, a spiritual practice, an obligation of membership, a way to build a legacy, a way to show gratitude for past blessings, a way to ensure that good works continue. So I give because I believe in the work of this community, and I know that belief alone doesn't pay the bills. And I also give because I know that if I don't give, then I can't ask you to give. And so I invite you to consider why you give especially as we're moving into our stewardship campaign. Why do you give? What do you give? And I invite you to think if what you give is enough to support your good reasons for giving. And I thank you for even considering the question, why do you give? As we call the ushers forward and invite you to give this morning, half of what goes into the baskets this morning will go to one of our community partners that is doing good work. So please give.
Now is our time to try whirling. You wouldn't believe the number of times that I have been asked by congregants to teach whirling since I have arrived. That wasn't super possible during the pandemic, but I introduced the idea and now we're going to have a chance. So I want to invite you. It'll just be a few moments while we receive beautiful music because one always whirls to music. There's actually a very formal ceremony, but I'm not going to get into all of the details. I've tried to create the simplest form of it that's the easiest to digest if you want to try whirling. Now you can whirl in your imagination, in your seats. If you have mobility issues or if there's any danger of getting up and spinning a little bit, because you can lose your balance. So I want to warn you to be careful and only do what you feel safe and comfortable with. But if you want to try whirling, I'm going to invite you to stand either in a space where you have some space. I see Amy's going to model it for us, and I see we have a Sufi dervish, Reverend Amelia, here with us this morning, who's going to help model it for us as well. So if you feel wobbly or like you might fall down at any point, you can just sit down on the ground right where you're at. Don't feel like you have to do everything. Just do what you're able. And once I finish the instructions, you can whirl or continue to whirl, and we will be joined by the choir in our closing hymn. So let's begin by facing the chancel, which we can imagine to be our repository of spiritual knowledge and tradition and the presence of this community across time. Cross your arms over your heart and your chest, and then bow to your heart. Just with your head, just bow to your heart, and that's bringing your ego and your mind in service to that repository of love within yourselves. So as you bow to your heart, feel the radiant reality of love within your being. And then I want you to bow your whole torso towards the chancel in reverence of our common spirit. And to rise. Now I'll ask you to use your left foot as your anchor in the ground. So your left foot's going to kind of stay fairly stationary and just move in a circle, while your right foot will move you around your left foot. So you're going to be moving counterclockwise. So take one step forward with your right foot, and another, and another, and another. So you get how the whirling happens there, right, with the movement. Now as you begin to move like this, so you can continue to bow your head to your heart. If you start to get dizzy, you might want to find a place to focus to help you keep your balance. As you begin to slowly turn, you raise your right arm to the sky, welcoming into your heart and into your being abundant blessings and grace and that universal love. And then with your left hand, you're going to give it away like those flower blossoms. And then as you slowly bring your arms back together, facing the front, and we bow. So now we're going to try it with the music and without instruction. It's not a wrong way to do it. Just feel into it and do whatever feels comfortable and right for you. Beautiful. I am so impressed. I thought like 3 to 5 people would maybe get up and do it. So thank you all for whirling with the dervishes to start this holy month. What a blessing. Now may you go in peace, and may you hold fast to that which is good, and may you return to no person evil for evil, but may you strengthen the faint of heart, support the weak, help the afflicted, honor all beings. May you go forth and be blessed, and may you be that blessing. Amen.
Amen.